Go. Aux sends. Now, aux sends and returns getting reverb working on this console is a bit complicated. So I've got it's labeled snare, but it's actually a conga drum working. I can hear it. And let's go through the whole process in order of signal flow. Make sure your fader's up, because aux sends, of course, are a post fader. And your aux sends are over here. There is a way to call up the aux sends on the screen by pressing this little mix button. That brings this up on the screen so you can actually see the auxes. Yeah, that's pretty useful. I think it can also be achieved by pressing this button here. Let me confirm. EQ. Yeah, so that just brings that up. And let's look at this thing for a moment. You've got 8 faders. You've got to turn the auxes on or pre with the buttons. That's really nice and convenient. Very simple. You do actually have 8 more auxes. You can scroll by 8. And you can get, aux 1 through 8, or aux 9 through 16, or even matrices 1 through 8. So these buttons will do triple duty, which is kind of cool. But we're going to just use aux 1. You can scroll by 1 and 2, but that's going to get really confusing. Aux 1, I'm on channel 1. I've selected I've got my conga track selected. Now we're going to turn it on. And I'm going to unity gain this guy up to about 0, right? No meter. There is actually a meter, but it's not moving because you have an aux master, right? Basic console signal flow, we need to turn our aux masters up. So these are our aux masters, and I know that because the button here says aux 1 through 8. Of course, this is aux master 9 through 16. These are my matrices. There are actually 16 matrices. Oh my gosh. So lots of matrices. But your auxes, let's turn these all up to unity. So I'm going to turn up, maybe I'd set up 4 effects, before I mix or something, so I'd get 4 going to unity. And you can see the conga that I brought up earlier on the channel to feed the master. Okay? Makes sense, right? We've got fader up, aux on, leaving in a post fader, and we got the master on. Now, we got to patch the master to a reverb. So over here, I'm going to switch to the right side of the console. I'm going to hit my screen access button, and I'm going to hit patching. It's going to bring up the patching window. Now we're going to go to a new section here. We're going to click buses, and you can see our 16 aux buses here. They need to be patched to our effects processors. So I click effects, and you can see the screen good, right? Excellent. So I'm going to take aux 1, and you can see it. Right, you can see the conga happening, and I'm going to send that to both inputs of my reverb. Now, some situations you don't need to go into both inputs of the reverb, but this is a reverb I want to go into both inputs equally. I'm going to select it again, go into both inputs, and this is where by the way, you can name the effects if you want. You click in there, and maybe we'll call this a plate. That's optional. Now, that's going to an effects processor. Let's look at those effects processors. You do that by pressing the effects button. And we're looking at a blank rack, shock mounted. Nice. And I'm going to double click. 1 click opens up that particular 2-space module. Change effects type. And now we get to a list of effects. Pick what you want. Reverb. I know the DN70 sounds really good, but I was using something recently on this thing about 6 months ago that I loved. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was the plate or the DN780. Those will work. Any one of these will work. Use them yourself. But if you pick the DN780, hit OK. And there's your reverb. And you can see, since we already patched into it, it is indeed working. And you can see both the left and the right input are driving. How to work this thing? Well, you'll figure it out. It's a little weird, but you can press here and go through the different effects types. This is, reverse. Keep pressing it. Let's go back. Plate, right? Pretty simple. And to tweak the knobs, it's these guys here, and your finger will go over them, and it will tell you and highlight what they are. It's a little difficult to deal with. For example, if I want to mess with my decay time, it's this knob right here. And we actually want to hear this reverb, so let's return it. So let's go back to patching. And you're going to find your reverb, your effects outputs. And here's the 6 effects processors. And of course, I labeled the first one plate. So I'm going to select those 2. I'm clicking and dragging. Oops, hold on. Drag across there. And I need to return those to some inputs. Now you got 2 options. You can either return them to your input channels. For example, hide them way down in the 40s or something. Can't do that on a Cashman show because you need the whole console for inputs. So I recommend you do the better and smarter and more complicated thing of putting your effects on effects inputs, on effects returns, which are in the center of the console. So I'm going to click the effects tab, and I'm going to take the plate, and I'm going to, oops, sorry, wrong plate, to the wrong thing. You need to put it on inputs again. It's there. Aux returns are below the main inputs. So I am selected, right? I should just be able to do that. So now effects left, 1 left is going to return 1. Effects number 2 right is going to 2. Now, coming over here to the center, as I said, these are the returns. These are, of course, the sends from earlier. You can see the reverb coming in. So to make it work, and this is always the part where people get confused, you kind of have to think of these as channels without buttons. If I select the return, I have to assign it to the stereo bus. This is where everybody always boo-boos. This goes right back to SRT1 Practico's in. Assign it to the stereo bus, pan the reverb to the left, select the second channel, bring it to the right, pan it to the right. Now, if I bring the level up, and I can even link them to work together. This is a really cool part. If I do this, I'm selecting a channel, I can even link them. So the left and right would go together, and I would have had to assign them both separately to stereo bus. At this point, bringing one up should bring the other one up. Now, I don't know if you can hear it in the video, but I can hear a lot of reverb right now.